rocking with Texas!
He's a 10.
I choose this family.
Hi guys, welcome to episode 45 of 911 Lone Star Roundup. I'm one of your hosts, Katie, and with me are my lovely co-hosts, Grace.
Hi everyone.
And EJ.
Hello.
Today we will be talking about 910G, season 5A, so the first half of the season. And of course, last week we talked about the blackouts. Now we're going to be talking about the rest of the season, which was episode 4 through 10. Yay! There's lots to talk about, so let's get started. We're only really talking about the major things. We did not mention every single call that happened, every single moment. We're only talking about we're only talking about the important things.
Yeah, the calls are cool, but at some point we just have to we're the characters are who we love, so
exactly.
The calls are side things. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. So starting off with episode 4. So as we know, at the end of episode 3, Maddie just left and stuff, and so she leaves without telling anyone, basically, and this sends Chimney into a spiral. Yeah, lovely. Definitely. And this stuff goes over to Chim's to see if he's okay. Okay, we all know he's not okay. Come on.
Yeah, Chim is not okay.
He is very much not okay. You can see him just watching the video and rewinding it and just trying to pay attention to every detail. And I feel so bad for him. I don't just feel bad for him, I feel bad for G, because now she doesn't have her mom right now.
You gotta think, mom will be the one she's most used to.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
sure.
Yeah. Well, and not only that too, Chim, watching him watch the video over and over and trying to figure out if somebody was forcing her to say that, and
yeah,
it was
I
just
think he was looking for anything other than the obvious answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was.
Especially he was oh, what if it's Doug? And Buck's just Doug's dead, and I'm just really Chim. And so I get he's going through it, so I kind of don't really blame him for saying something like that. But then Buck's just but then Chim's just do we really know that? We never saw a body, and it's
Chim. Maddie did kill Doug, I assure you.
Yeah. That guy's dead.
I was gonna be yeah, call her up and ask her. Wait, nope.
Call her and ask her.
Sorry.
She hasn't been to therapy for ages.
Yeah. Buck is I feel Buck is just so used to seeing Maddie leave, because which is true, but Buck is so used to seeing her leave that where he's not phased. I feel he's just because he was oh, she'll be back, and I mostly feel bad for Chimney, but I also do really feel bad for Buck, just because we already know he has abandonment issues. He is afraid of being alone. We saw that we saw that at the end of season 3, him talking about being alone, and he thought talking about Maddie leaving, and I can't imagine how he feels, but also Chim's pain. They both it's hard.
To be honest, we don't know this at the time, but Buck did already sort of know some of what was going on.
Right.
But we don't know that at this time. In fact, I think everyone was being oh, Buck's gonna freak, and then he's not freaking, and it's okay.
Yeah, I think we just put that on Buck. We think that Buck's gonna freak out, because there have definitely been times where he has, but Buck is actually being, I guess,
Buck can be super level-headed when he wants to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is one of those instances. One of those instances where you wouldn't expect him to be level-headed. Yeah. But he's nope, this is sort of our family tradition.
Yeah. And it's just interesting to see even just how they deal with it, and their pain separately. It's just interesting. And then we see Harry in therapy after the kidnapping, and Harry still hasn't been back to the house, which is totally understandable. If that happened to me, I don't think I would want to move.
Yeah.
Right.
And stuff. And we see and everyone's struggling with it. obviously Harry's struggling with it. He went through it. Michael and David are struggling with it because they don't really know what to do. And Athena just really wants him to come home, but like not really something you can push, or like Athena wants him to talk about it, but he is just like
he's being closed off.
Yeah, he's very closed off, which is totally understandable.
Which is making the parents struggle even more because they're used to Harry opening up to them, and that he's not willing to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're trying to help and they just running into a brick wall.
Yeah.
And it's a frustrating situation for everyone involved.
Then we meet everyone's favorite Claudette.
No, thank you.
Yeah,
like I get it. We needed another dispatcher since Maddie left. I get it, but
did we? No, we did not. Okay,
we did not need.
True, we did. We do have Josh and we do have May. So no, we did not need another.
Okay, they could have made Linda like a more major dispatcher, which I kind of wish they would have done because she is such a good dispatcher, and they just put her like in the background too much.
More time. I love her.
I really love her, and I would love to know like more about her. So I kind of wish they would have just made a focus on her. She's a really good character. They just don't like establish her or use her enough.
Which I mean, I guess you get that they have to have some side characters. Not everyone can be a main focus, but also their side characters are so good.
Yeah.
That can we just please make them a main focus? Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's like, let's just utilize the people we already have instead of keep bringing in all these new people.
Yeah.
Like Claudette was not necessary, really. Like they have plenty of dispatchers in that room that we see all the time that could easily have had a larger storyline for an episode or two.
Even without Linda, bring Terry in or something. Like we have options.
Yeah, we do have options, exactly. But the one thing I didn't like about them bringing in Claudette is, well, first off, Claudette is like, I guess, like a veteran operator. Like Josh knows her and stuff. Like she's just well known. And so basically she comes in and everyone decides they're not going to do their job. They're just going to watch over her.
Oh God, that was ridiculous.
That is just like, that makes me cringe because like, it's like, okay, so you're just like abandoning people that need help right now, and you're just watching Claudette basically like do her job, like just coming in like obviously it was drama.
Yeah, they acted like she was some big royalty, like because she came in and she like was quick with like different things on the computer system and could type fast. And I'm like, you guys are ignoring the fact that 911 is people need help, and you're just gawking over somebody new.
Let me tell you, every time I think of that episode, that point in time in the episode, when I tell you I get incensed, like I am so mad because in no universe does the entire call center stop to obsess over one person dealing with a house rob or a home break-in.
Yeah.
There was nothing special about what she was doing. They were just trying to give her a spotlight and made the show producers look ridiculous and also made 911 look ridiculous just on the fact that they could conceive in making an entire freaking floor of 911 pay attention to one person.
And like obviously they did it for drama and stuff like that, and they weren't actually actively getting calls, but it's the fact that that's so like unrealistic and so unnecessary. Like it already makes
911 never stops getting these calls.
Yeah, exactly. And it just makes me want to not like Claudette just for that entrance, and just because she is a bitch. Like she came in, she was such a bitch. She was so rude to May and like stuff with like basically, is this the episode where she took over her call? I believe it was.
I believe it was.
You have that in the next episode. I
can't like I just watched these, but like I still can't remember what happened when. The one problem, because like May did have a problem with Claudette in this episode. I can't exactly remember what it was. It was like
we hire babies now.
Oh yeah.
Super bitchy to her.
She thought she was an intern or something. So she was ordering her around to get her coffee or something. Yeah. And like May kind of addresses her issues a little bit in the episode to Josh, and Josh defends her, which makes me like be like, Josh, please.
The one thing I can say in response to Josh is that he listens. He actually listens to see if there's what he terms a real problem. Instead of immediately defending her, then he defends her. And I'm like, well, at least you want a complete asshole.
Yeah, at least he listened, because like he could have easily just shut her down and been like, no. Like,
yeah. But he listened, and I'm like, well, Still love you, Josh. She should get better taste sometimes.
Yeah. And the major call for this episode was like the homecoming parade where the two girls, like a car basically rams through the whole thing and the two girls like got hurt. And something I'm sure other people got hurt too, but that was like the main focus. And how one girl was pronounced basically dead on the scene and they thought it was the one girl, but then later in the episode we find out it wasn't that girl because she was just saying her friend's name. And like I was just like, okay, like we all saw that coming, I believe.
Right.
Like, it was,
the two girls looked so similar that because both of them had been severely injured, that we couldn't tell who was who. But yeah, that was kind of a mix-up.
One had facial injuries.
Yeah.
So yeah, one girl died of a broken neck. The other one had facial injuries, and so upon being bandaged, even the parents couldn't tell that it wasn't their child.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
And wasn't this the call that Eddie was like working with Hen the first kind of because Chin was out for the day?
They were so good.
Can we just
together.
rave about that duo? Okay, like
we love it. We love it.
Here for it.
And then we get in this episode we got Albert sort of back via FaceTime a call of Chim, and like hearing him talk about being a probie, it was kind of funny because like he's just like, I forget exactly what he said, but he's just like, I'm not gonna do that, and it's like, dude, you're a probie. It's like, yeah, you're gonna do that. And then also during the call, Chim discovers on the call that he had gotten a bill from the ER and like G was there, and I'm like, oh no, oh god, no. Like, and like later he had like talked to the doctor at the ER. He kind of confronted her about it, asking for her to tell him what happened, and like he has every right to know. Like, he's the father. It's not like you can't really be like, no, like he's the father, he deserves to know. Like somebody should have told him,
right?
Rather than him just finding out by getting a bill. Okay.
Right. Yeah, because he was so confused as to why G was getting a bill from the ER, and he had no idea.
Not to mention, like, he's already in enough pain, and now he gets this, and like he's like, I can imagine as a parent, his mind would be going to all these places. Yeah. So
and then he learns that G almost did drown, or was at risk of it.
Because then he goes to the hospital and confronts the doctor.
Right,
he finds the doctor. She's leaving from work, and the doc. Though it was weird because, like, at first the doctor wasn't going to give him any information. I'm like, dude, it's the father. You're right. Like, you don't have to hesitate. It's the father.
Yeah, like this episode with Shem's storyline, it just like the plot thickens, I guess.
Yeah, I know. It was really painful.
It was painful for like all sides and stuff, but like he finds out that Buck knew about the ER visit, and we all know he clocked Buck, which that was hard. It wasn't right, and nothing excuses that, but it was also like it's hard for like I was hard for him, and like obviously I don't think that would be in his normal nature to do that. I don't think he's not really very violent, but I think because of like everything started piling. Maddie leaves, he finds out about the ER visit. He is not in the right headspace. So
so when he goes to Buck, and then it's like through the conversation he realizes that Buck knew, and Buck didn't say anything to him, which so I understand why he's upset too, because here Buck's supposed to be his family at the firehouse, and then also, you know, being a part of being Maddie's brother, that, you know, like, hey, we're basically family, so why did you hide something like that as important as that from him? So I can understand why Chim did it. And I mean, I'm glad Buck didn't fight back, because he knew, you know.
Well, Buck wouldn't fight back just for the fact that like he knows that Chimney's in pain, and that like he doesn't actually mean, he knows that he deep down that he doesn't mean to do this, that he's just like, that's how he reacted and stuff. So I feel like he kind of is just like, okay, like I'm just gonna take this because like he's in pain and like I can't really do anything about it. So I guess
I'll say that my attitude isn't quite as forgiving towards this. Like, okay, I mean,
violence is never the answer, but
no, like, yes, I love Chimney. Like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine going through what he's going through, and like I understand why he did it, but at the same time, it's hard to establish what I feel about it, but I think part of it's just I don't like his treatment of Buck in general a lot of the time, and that just kind of sent me over the edge. And so that particular thing I'm just not very forgiving on. I think partially because we have yet to see any form of remorse for it.
Yeah,
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, but he's been gone, so it's kind of hard
He's
to get,
been
like,
gone, but
remorse.
we've seen him when he's gone. And we've also had his voicemail. We've had various forms of animosity towards Buck without any form of apology for decking him.
Yeah.
And so, I get it. I'm just not very forgiving because we've yet to see that. So, yeah, I'll probably be fine about it as soon as
Yeah, I mean,
he owns up to it.
Yeah, I guess another thought I just had is, because Chim also realizes that, he's pretty sure that Buck knew that Maddie was leaving too.
Yeah.
He didn't just figure out about G. And he even says something like, when I said that Maddie left and that G was in the hospital, you didn't seem very surprised, and she's your niece. So you knew. And then, he's like, well, Maddie asked me. So it's like, I feel bad for Buck in the sense that he's being stuck in the middle,
Oh yeah.
Which being in the middle sucks, because I've been experienced where, I've been in the middle of two friends arguing. So Buck's kind of in the middle of this, I don't know, it's not a love triangle, but it's kind of that thing, it's a family triangle,
It's a family argument.
He's trying to be loyal to his sister by not sharing what she's asked him to keep in confidence, but he's not being loyal then to his brother at the firehouse, who's also Maddie's, so it's a tough situation. But I agree, Chim should have never resorted to punching him. There are other things to do, but
or at least Chim, I'll be fine with it as soon as he owns up to it.
Yeah, that would be nice to have him own up to what he did.
Yeah, I would like an apology, but I feel like, I don't know, I'm not as hard on it just because his mental health is just shit.
Oh yeah, his mental health's terrible. And so
it's not like he intentioned to do any of that. I think it just kind of happened, and he needs to own up to it and be like, hey, sorry. And I think he will.
I think he will as soon as he comes back. But I just, every time, something has turned up, I'll the voicemail, for example, the voice message box.
Unnecessary.
It's unnecessary, and it wrinkles me because I'm just excuse you, want to run that by me again? I'm very protective
I think that
of my
comes
voice.
up in the next episode, so right?
Yeah, but I don't think I wrote it down.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, well,
we talked about it.
Yeah,
we talked about it. So, we'll see. But so, of course, I'm forgiving of, the idea that his mental health shit. I just not very forgiving of his actions.
And that's understandable.
So,
it's a weird in-between to be in.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah, definitely. So Athena-wise, we see her kind of come to terms with, the kidnapping and just everything that happened to her and, Jeffrey. And so she, finally breaks down. It's, another Athena moment where she finally, allows herself to feel everything I feel, and it's one of the most powerful moments, I think, just because she breaks down to Bobby about it, and this is her just going through that, and it's just it's such a hard scene to watch, but it's also one of the best scenes because it's just so powerful.
Oh, truly.
Because Athena's never accepted that she's a victim of Jeffrey, and then I think she's finally coming to the terms with the fact that Jeffrey truly affected her, and has basically in a way ruined her life at that moment. He's taken her son away from her because Harry doesn't want to come back to the house where it happened,
and is very testy towards his mom in particular.
And then she and him are not feeling safe there. So I think this is it is a very tough scene to watch, for sure. And I feel bad for Bobby, but I'm grateful that he's there. I'm glad Athena has him, and that Bobby's able to kind of hold it together for her.
Yeah,
no, I agree.
And then we get a buddy scene, which yes, please.
Yes,
buddy. Okay, guys. So Buck is at Eddie's, and
I thought they were on Buck's balcony.
I thought
they're
it
on
was
Buck's
Eddie's.
balcony. No, it's just balcony.
It is? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well, they're Bucks apparently.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's totally fine. And but it's hard for Buck because Buck wanted to help both of them. He wanted to get Maddie to come home, but he also doesn't want Chim to spiral because he's oh, I wish I could have just gotten her to come home so Chimney would not spiral. And it's yeah. And I love the conversation that Buck and Eddie have.
Priceless
Because it's Buck is kind of feels I failed on both fronts.
Yeah.
And Eddie's just you're always going to fail, and Buck's well, that's dark.
I over here just like this one.
And
Yes.
it's like Buck expected him to be like all sugarcoating everything.
No,
he's like, nope.
yeah.
He's like
And
telling him
Eddie
the
is
truth.
not a sugarcoating person.
No, he is not. Eddie's like
He's
Eddie's-
just so straightforward.
Yeah, Eddie's straightforward, but whenever he doesn't sugarcoat things 100%. But like Eddie always says things in the most beautiful ways. Like he gives you the most like I guess the best advice. And sometimes I feel like he should take his own advice. But he says it in the best way. Like Eddie's just like, look, you love Maddie and you love Chimney, and you're the guy who likes to fix things. But maybe this isn't something you can fix. And Buck's just like, he kept on saying that, she could be in trouble, she needs our help, but I know she's gonna be okay. He just doesn't know her the way I do. And Eddie makes a great point. He's like, or you don't know her the way he does. When you think of your sister, you see this person you've always looked up to, the woman who's taken care of you, but maybe that's not who she is right now. This time, maybe she's the one who's taking care of. Very good point, Eddie.
At one point, I'm just there like, yes, boy.
Yes, boy, say it. And Buck's just like, think he's gonna forgive me? And Eddie's just like, no. And Buck's face when he says that.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm kidding.
Kind of.
Kind of. Maybe. And he's like, maybe. He's like, ice goes on the iPod. And you guys know, Bud Bunny.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, good. Okay, and then Buck's like, okay, I got it. And I'm like, the scene.
Yeah, we needed it.
I think this is so far best buddy scene this season, or one of the best, because there's definitely a few and stuff. And then we see Hannah and Chim talk, and like this is when Chimney's like loading up the car to like go with G to find Maddie, because like obviously and so they talk, and like Hen's just like, are you sure you're coming back? And Chim's just like, not without her. And Hen's like, then go find her. And I'm like, it was just like such a good scene. And it was like kind of offered to go with him, which I thought was like, I guess, I don't know. It was cool, but like obviously we knew that was gonna happen, because like
they're best friends.
They're just they are like they're literally like the bestest friends. Like I just love their friendship, and like seeing it, like even like seeing like the growth between when they met to now. Like I can like, oh, beautiful.
Yeah. No, I do love their friendship. It's just wholesome.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on to episode 5, we're gonna start with a problem we have. Of course it involves Taylor, because like we have a lot of problems with Taylor. But this does not hasn't sit right with me for months, and I could have talked about this a little bit in just my own postings. But like Taylor tells Buck basically in this episode that like not everything is about him with the chimney situation. And can we just talk about how in that previous episode, the scene with Eddie and Buck, Eddie kind of like says, like he doesn't say that, but he says something along the lines of that, but he doesn't make it like, oh, Buck, like forget about it, it's not all about you, where Taylor does. I have so many issues with this. And like somebody on Twitter, like Grace, found a while ago that like said like Taylor should have said like not everything is because of you, not everything is about you, or something like that.
Yeah, because
one
Buck was taking
wording
it personally.
One wording change, and that whole thing could have taken on a whole new dimension.
Yeah,
because saying that not everything's about him makes it sound like he's trying to make the entire situation, revolve around him. And some people will be like, well, what's the difference? And the entire thing is on connotation. Not everything's about you implies, what I just said. And yes, he's taking guilt for it, but he's taking guilt because he thinks he could have helped. And so saying not everything's because of you, that's saying, no matter what you did, it probably would have turned out about the same.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I don't know if I explained that very well. That's what I'm seeing. It's like, I hate what she said. And when I saw people that were like agreeing about it, I'm like, no.
No. It was definitely not the right thing for a girlfriend to say. Like, it was not appropriate, and she should have worded it differently. Or, and I get Buck being upset and trying to blame himself and he's so used to being the one to take the blame and take the shot and be the one that gets hurt, because he feels like that's what all he is in life.
Yeah.
So I
he's
get
so
it.
used to being beaten down.
But,
and I feel like that's just is completely looked over.
Right. Yeah. And so what she said made it worse too. too.
It was harsh.
Yeah, it was harsh. It wasn't something you should say to a partner. If my partner told me that, I would be in a lot worse of a state.
Yeah, same. She's a terrible girlfriend. There, I said it.
No, she
We all
is.
know it. We all know it. Some people are just like so in love with Taylor that they can't recognize that like she's a bad girlfriend. Like, okay, let's not. Okay,
Yeah.
let's
She's
just
bad.
recognize. Yeah.
And in case anyone can't handle it, from here on out, it's just basically going to be a Taylor ship party. So, X out now, you have the chance.
Exactly.
No. I mean, like, if we bring up Taylor, we're not going to be singing her praises.
Yeah.
I'm not.
a fan. Like, amen. Like, Megan West is a great actress, but definitely don't like Taylor. And like, I don't even blame Megan for it because she's just acting the part that is being written. And it seems like this writing, honestly, the writing this season was, to me, not as great as it has been. So at the firehouse.
Yeah. So of course we have new pairings with Chimney being gone. So obviously we saw a little bit of Eddie and Han in the previous episode. And then of course we see Robbie kind of join like this shift and stuff. So Robbie's like joining. And I love this. But Buck is being such a drill sergeant to Robbie, which is really funny. It's like Clifford Buck. It's kind of back with Clipper Buck, and like Buck is just like, oh my god. Okay, so yes, this was the episode of Claudette, where she takes over May's call. Oh my god, that made me so mad. I'm still mad about it. Let's be real. It's been months and I'm still like a little mad about it because it was just like so like unnecessary and so rude, and it just made me hate Claudette more than I actually did when she came in.
She manages to make everything she does condescending, and it's like, bitch, no,
bitch, leave your toxicity out the door. We don't want you here.
Just because you're experienced at this, it doesn't mean you need to get in the way of everyone else doing their job.
Yeah, and I think that all the ranting and raving like people have done, like, oh, we love Claudette, the people at the call center. And so like she's let that go to her head, and like she's not a supervisor. She has no right to take over for May in the middle of a call when May was handling it fine. So she's not a supervisor. That's not her right.
Exactly. That's the key thing. She had no authority to step in.
Exactly. And if Josh or somebody else there didn't feel like she was like May was up for the job yet, she wouldn't be by herself on a call.
Yeah,
precisely.
Like literally.
But Claudette, it's just like she has to like dig herself more in there because like the previous episode, like she's all like, oh, we're hiring children, and thinking that she's just like this little intern, so she was poorly treating her at the beginning, and it still is like going on. It did not like that at all.
No, totally over it.
Over it. Yeah. I love in this episode though how Hen kind of has a talk with Robbie, because Robbie's like hiding from Buck because Buck's like, I want to see you disassemble this like chainsaw or whatever, or the drill or whatever it was.
The way he just marched in, carried a chainsaw, it's like
I was just like, oh my god, like Buckwood.
Ruby.
Like, honey?
That was good.
Like, no.
Poor Robbie is like hiding like a little kid, and like Hen's just like, okay, like she turns on the light, anybody home? And
he's in
and then she just pretends
Bobby's
to
office
leave and like stuff. And he's just like, she basically tells Robbie that basically Buck is just like trying to protect his second family because of his like first family, and he's just trying to make sure that Robbie's also like worthy.
Yeah.
And like, that's totally true. Like,
it's completely true.
Well, and not,
he's just protective.
Right. Well, and I think too, like, because we've mentioned it in other episodes, when Eddie came into the 118 as a probational officer or like firefighter, like he didn't really act like one. Like,
no,
he had experience as being a combat medic in the army, so he meshed super well with the team right away.
Mm-hmm. He was also older,
right?
Because he had been through all those experiences, and
exactly. So he wasn't like
Robbie. I'd say like is about 21-ish.
Yeah, he's very
which
young.
is about a 10-year difference from where Eddie came at.
Yeah.
Right. So I just feel like this is the first opportunity we're getting to see Buck as like a more senior firefighter, because Eddie really wasn't treated like one, even though he was.
Yeah.
So like I get Buck, but he, again, like I liked what Hen said, because he's trying to protect the only other family he has, because his personal life is kind of super up in the air.
When something else is going on, you try and take care of anything that is under your control. And that's him. He's trying to keep it under control. And like, can't fault him for that.
Yeah, honestly.
Like, yes, so maybe you don't need to go terrifying the probie with a chainsaw.
Or just anything. Oh, Buck.
Yeah. So
very Buck move.
That.
Yes.
Very
that was
Buck.
like clipboard muck.
Yeah,
Clipboard
exactly.
Buck.
Yeah.
What was the other phrase I was going to use? Oh, Fire Inspector Buck.
Oh my god.
Oh my lord. Oh my god. Oh my god. So more about Buck. This is also the episode where he is like, I'm gonna put in for a transfer. It's like, boy hush.
Yeah.
And like Captain,
that's
like,
kind of what they all were like, boy hush.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Cap was like kind of like, what? And Eddie's face is kind of like, what? And Buck's like, well, Robbie can replace me. Eddie's replacing Chimney. And Eddie's just like,
who's replacing me?
yeah, who's
Shit,
replacing me?
Well, I loved it.
Buck is just like, I'm sure Cap can figure that out. And Bobby over here, Captain, is like, great. For a minute there, it seems like we all forgot who the captain is. And Buck's just like, if I may. And Cap's like, you're not leaving, Buck. And it's just like, and Chimney's coming back, guys. And Buck's like, we don't know that. What?
We don't know that.
We don't know. What I do know is that nothing is the same without him. Either everything feels broken and it's my fault. I'm the reason he's gone. I feel so bad for him, guys.
Yeah. And then Bobby,
he's his own worst enemy,
yeah.
Which I gotta say is probably everybody on the show.
Yeah. And then Bobby, but I love what Bobby says. Like, I told Chimney to leave. He came to see me and he wanted to find her. I told him he should. And then Eddie was like, I told him it was the right thing to do. And Hen's like, I offered to go with him. And Buck's like, oh. So he's like, had no idea any of this happened.
And he's coming back, Buck, with Maddie. And Cap's just like, and when he does, you're gonna be right here where you belong. And Eddie's just like, you're stuck with us. And I love his face.
That line.
Honey. Yeah.
You're stuck with us. Oh, yes. And then the last few things that happened in this episode are Harry finding that article about Athena that says, like, rogue cop gets away with murder.
Yeah, it was on Jeffrey's blog.
Ah,
yes.
And I'm just like, goes to find a wall. Like,
sure, that's credible.
Yeah, really.
Totally a credible source my professors would call bullshit.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And then the last
Does that look like an unbiased source to you?
Very unbiased. It's kind of like some of the articles that I've seen recently. I'm just like, yeah, that's definitely reality. Anyways, so the last thing we see in this episode is Buck getting a call from Maddie. Well, it's an unknown number, but you know, same thing. And we hear things in the background, and he's like, I know where she is now. And
yeah, it seems like some bells ringing or something.
Yeah.
It's like, honey, don't keep it to yourself.
The one thing that's frustrating after that is we didn't really get anything about that until 2 episodes later, because as we all know, they kept flip-flopping episodes. So 6
it was so weird.
It was so weird.
I have yet to understand why.
I don't know. So 6 was flopped to 7. So Halloween episode and Cell Block were both flopped and stuff, and then 8 and 9 were both flopped. So it was very confusing as to why, and it ruined the Ghost Stories episode, which we'll get to when we talk about like that and stuff. But yeah, moving on to 6. This is a really good episode and stuff.
Yeah, it was probably one of my
so
favorites from the season so
honestly
far.
Yeah,
like
we're not going to talk about everything, but I feel like we could totally like in the future like talk about it even more.
Oh yeah,
because it was
I think we should.
I honestly think we should, because it's like this almost gave me like the new almost like new Jinx vibes. Like it wasn't Jinx, nothing will compare to Jinx, but it was kind of the same feel good episode and stuff. So obviously we know that like this episode took place in a prison, so there was a fire in the prison which allowed some of the prisoners to escape with Buck and Eddie, of course, Buddy, which not a bad about because at least they gave us Buddy like together. But the thing is they think they're guards when they are not. They're prisoners. So that's they escape.
Yeah, there's like 3 different storylines going on at the cell block, and I love that the episode's called Cell Block 911. It makes me think of like Ocean's 118 from season 2.
Yes. Oh my god.
Title wise,
all good episodes. Yes. And then like also another storyline had Buck and Eddie, Buddy, outside the prison with the prisoners. They don't know are prisoners at first. And then Robbie, Pen, and Bobby are in the prison with like the prison doctor because they bring a guy who they think is, I believe, a prisoner, but we found out is a guard. And they're kind of working on him and stuff. And yeah, I kind of like loved Buddy just being together and working together again. Right. We missed out the last 2 episodes, I guess, and stuff. And then like I guess this is like very Buddy vibes is like when the prisoners pull over in the middle of nowhere to like basically search them, and like one of them finding a picture of Chris and Eddie's wallet, and the way Buck gets so protective, like bonus dad vibes. He's like,
yes.
I love that part. Yes.
Eddie's just there like, make one wrong move and I'll kill you. Buck's just like, not waiting for a wrong move. I'm gonna kill them.
Right.
It's like they made the wrong by Chris. I was just like, love it.
Yes. I'm like, I feel like this episode people kept saying like, oh, Eddie's not even blinking at the guns and like he's not even afraid. Like, guys, he was in the military. He's used to working with guns on him. So like he's kind of conditioned to that. Like, did we forget that he was in the military? Did we forget that?
I love that though, because like I saw a meme and it was like Eddie with the gun pointed at him. He's all calm. And then Eddie thinking that he's like panicking about Anna dating a woman dating the woman was
I think I showed you that.
And I was like,
guys, it's because he's gay.
Just, I mean, hey, you never know.
We could literally, that will come up again in some sorts. But anyways, and then the way the rest of the 118 gets out is like everything because
Robbie.
Bobby gets the idea to basically put laughing gas with like the whole building, and it's funny because the prisoners are falling over and they're laughing. It's so funny. It's like, oh my god, can you imagine this happening in real life? That would be funny. Yeah, and stuff. And then like the major thing we know is like a shot goes off, not shown, and Buck is just like, Eddie! And he runs out there, of course, and stuff. And like the whole point of why the prisoners wanted to escape is because Mitchell, one of them, his son was like
at the hospital.
He needed like a transplant or something, and he was basically gonna die, so he wanted to go see him. And honestly, he didn't want to just go see him, he wanted to like beg them or more like force them to like take his heart.
Because in the state of California, prisoners can't donate their organs, and he wanted to donate his heart to his son, which he could not get because he was a prisoner and he'd been denied parole and all that other stuff. So they somehow figured out a way to make it happen so the son could get his heart, because he decided to shoot himself in the head, and that was interesting. And one side note I will say, the guy who played Mitchell, I was super excited to see, because Mark Pellegrino, he played on Supernatural for several seasons, and I loved him in that show. So it was super like cool to see him in 911.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really tough scene, like seeing and then like Buck scrambling out there like he's all legs. He's so tall. He just like scrambles out there, and like Eddie's on the ground like doing CPR on the guy. He's like and like Eddie's ordering, like telling him what to do and stuff, and like he's like, what? And I was like, but he's dead. And he's like, I know, and he can't, like, we got to keep his heart pumping, because you got to keep the heart moving or the organs will shut down and then they can't use the heart. So he had to keep the blood pumping or the heart would become usable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we just talk about how sassy Eddie was with him? Because he's like, what are you gonna do? I was
Right.
like, yes, Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie was
He
just
was
like
just-
standing
he was
down.
just-
He was such a good
I love it
episode.
because he was just sitting there like, he was so calm and
Mhm.
competent, and it was rather hot, just saying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just had to throw that out there. We know
yeah.
Buck
Well
would have taught it
trained.
if he'd seen it.
This episode is just like full on us be like, okay, there's more Buddy vibes than you actually got from this
Right.
episode.
Right.
Or
In
it's
case
just
you
a
didn't
season.
know.
In case you didn't know, Buddy shippers hated us. Oh, sorry, Buddy is a thing. Oh, we love it.
We can literally put so much proof.
Yeah.
That it's a thing.
Right. And I loved so in the episode too, like because of the guy's son. So earlier in the episode, Athena had gone to the mom's house to connect with her to like, and she meets the mom and like trying to figure some stuff out. And so I loved how like after everybody gets to the hospital, they all stay while the kids are getting the surgery for the transplant. And so they're all kind of at the hospital when he gets out of surgery and it went well. And I loved Bobby talking to Ravi. Ravi was having a really tough time after what happened because he he had to really put himself out there.
He did. He like pretended to be one of the prisoners, which is so cool to see for Ravi, because I feel like this was probably maybe the first time Ravi was like really in danger, so I think this was hard for him to grasp. And it was just like Bobby was kind of just like, he didn't want him to talk about it, but he was just like, oh, we could get breakfast. And Ravi's just like, I don't want to talk about what happened. He's like, oh, we don't have to do that. And I love this. Like, I love seeing like this kind of like friendship relationship with them. It's almost like kind of like how Buck was when he first came in. Like Bobby is taking Ravi now under his wing in a way.
Yeah. Kind of a fatherly role.
Yeah, different aspects, because I feel like Buck needed a little bit more parental.
Face it, Bobby's just everyone's parent.
Pretty much,
Hi, Dad. Yes.
Which, in some ways, it makes sense. I mean, he lost this kid, so this is a way for him to have children. Is he obviously has May,
and he is the oldest there, and he is an authority figure, and he just is just kind of very parental, so it makes sense.
Yeah, he makes a really good dad.
Honestly, I feel like both Bobby and Owen are like that. Like they're like everyone's dad, like in a sense.
Yeah.
I feel like they both have like that role.
Yeah, not many people would completely invite their probationary firefighter to live with them. Just hashtag random. So I agree.
True.
I do agree with what you're saying about Owen. So in episode 507, which originally was supposed to be the 506. So I don't know.
I gotta say the best thing about this is Lou.
Oh yeah,
but this one coming back. The rest of it,
no.
Yeah,
we don't accept it.
I actually liked the mystery. I did like the mystery.
Yeah, the mystery wasn't too bad.
Okay,
but the big capital T.
Okay, so the first thing, this episode makes me kind of mad because this is like the failed ghost stories. That's what I've been calling it, because it's a non-Halloween episode. It was literally there was nothing Halloween about it. They took all the best parts that I was excited about out of the episode, and it made me mad. It was only like a week after Halloween. They could have made a Halloweeny.
It wasn't even a week. It was a day.
Oh yeah, it was a day. Come on.
And not only that, like on Hulu, when we went to watch it, it says like the name of the episode and then in parentheses, Halloween episode.
And it's like, liar!
I'm like,
liar!
There was nothing Halloween other than the ghosty side, and that was even taken out.
They misunderstood the assignment.
I know. I'm like
the assignment.
I'm so bitter. Like, I don't know if I should blame Fox, but I blame somebody. And sorry, Fox, you're gonna have to be the one I blame.
And it was like to blame because the preview for this episode showed like Ravi, like Buck's talking about being ghost or spooky, and then like Ravi comes around, hey guys, and like scares Buck, which and so we wanted to see that.
They literally took everything from the damn trailer out of it.
Well, and it was funny because like when I think it was 505 ended, we saw in 2 weeks this was going to be the episode aired. So like then like everything they aired, they changed because they flip-flopped episodes. And I'm like, why did you guys do that? That made no sense.
It was stupid. Anyways, moving on. So we still see that Harry is still going through things, which since these episodes were supposed to air earlier, this kind of messed up the story because we wouldn't get it one episode, we would get it one episode, and it just seemed off, which obviously we know going into it, but like he's still clearly dealing with his trauma, and he kind of like talks to the therapist how he feels like everyone wants him to move on, and like yes, but also like I don't know, I feel like everyone is just a little too hard on him just because like they want him to go back to how he was, but it's like you don't know.
But they just want him to open up.
Yeah, which you can't really force anybody to open up. That's the thing. And I think they know that, but it's also like
they just want to help. They're like they feel helpless and they don't know what to do with that.
I understand that. And like I don't know, it's just hard on it's hard on all parts. The one thing I don't like about this episode, and some people will, well, very few people will disagree, but some people will, I don't know. I don't like Taylor like putting herself where she shouldn't be. Like this just seems like such a this. Some people literally are too much in love with her to realize. But doesn't this sound like an invasion or look like an invasion of privacy? Just showing up somebody's hotel room, or not hotel room, hospital room, wrong word. Yeah. And like just like being like, oh, can I know everything that happened? Like, no, you can't. Like that's just
it's like she's doing everything she can to get the good story.
Yeah.
Which is
just totally
character. And that's why we don't like her
character.
Yeah. I don't like this is the episode really makes her hate her just like I did at Dose. Like I kind of go back to those same feelings. Like some people are like, oh, she's not as bad as most reporters. I don't think I've seen a reporter like go to this lengths to get a story. That just seems like it shouldn't even be allowed. It seems like they shouldn't even allow her to be in the hospital to like interview somebody. They're like, I don't know. It's just wrong. I think it's wrong.
But what I loved about it is Lou showed up, or Lou was already at the hospital.
Yes, we love Lou.
And I love
and he was so annoyed.
And I loved how he tried, like, kicked her out. He's like, yeah, I'm going to put guards up there. And she's like, oh, who are you expecting to keep out? And he's like, you. I'm like, go Lou.
King. Yes. Love you. Love it.
Yeah. Literally one of the best things about this was Lou.
Yeah.
He was just like casually back.
Yeah. And then another good thing in this episode, we do see a little bit of Chim. So the sound Buck heard on the phone when he talked to Maddie was the bells. And so he knew where it was she was in Boston. So Chim headed to Boston with the G. And while he's there, he ends up in a parking garage and saving a woman who's giving birth in her car. And when they call 911, we see Eli, who we talked about a few weeks ago, which was super cool.
Yeah, it was so like
Big Mac.
EJ and I.
Yeah, we know him from Night Shift.
Yes. Love that. And I was just like, yes. And it was like before we had gone into Chimney Begins, so I forgot Eli even existed. But I was
me too. Yes. And then like I loved it too because like Chim's like as soon as the paramedics arrived, Chim's like rattling off all the information, and then like Eli kneels down. He's like, wow, somebody must have trained you well. And then he like realizes who it is.
Yes.
That was so cool.
It was cool and stuff. And what was interesting to find out just about the whole like Maddie Chimney storyline in this episode was more so Maddie is like Chimney revealed that like basically Maddie had always said that like Boston was like when she was in nursing school and like Doug was in med school, and that this was like an okay time for them because like they never saw each other. And I thought that was interesting like detail to find out and stuff.
Yeah. It's a little tidbit that as much as I say we shouldn't have a Maddie Begins because we already know so much, it would be the sort of thing that it'd be like interesting to see in Maddie Begins.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
So the only problem with that, and I'm just going to branch off onto this for a moment, the only problem with that is that the only part time I would want to see is her time with Doug, because it's the only part we don't know much about, and that would have such a high abuse warning that I don't think we could do it.
Yeah, well, they kind of already showed the abuse in like other episodes, so I feel like I don't know.
I think if you pieced all this back, like the flashbacks that we got in like season 2 and 3, I think we would have had plenty. To like
agreed.
Make a Maddie Begins.
Anyway.
And and this episode's kind of like ghost stories, like I think that's that title or something like that. And I like it because like in a way like Eli's a ghost, because like honestly, like how did he end up in Boston? Because he was in LA.
Okay, we need to know about that. Like, I know they're not going to tell us, but I'm very curious about how he went from LA to Boston.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
It's very interesting to me.
Yeah. And then, like, also in this episode, Ava reaches out to Hen. And,
oh, yes.
So Ava shows back up and she's trying to get Hen to, like, she's been going through the 12-step program of, getting clean, and is trying to make amends with Hen. And Hen tells Karen. Karen gets upset. So Karen goes to visit Ava because Ava had told Hen that she was moving, and she wanted, just wanted to let her know that she wouldn't be in her life anymore, wouldn't show up again. And Karen just was like flipping out on her. Yeah.
The funny thing,
Karen.
The funny thing is, when she showed up at Eva's, she was just like, "Oh, you actually are moving."
Yeah. Like, well, because she didn't believe it. She figured it was like some ploy to get Hen to like follow her or something.
Yeah. Honestly, like, we didn't necessarily need this, but I think it was about damn time they closed the storyline, and now we know it's closed for good. Because I feel like this. Like, I get she was in prison for a while, so I get why it happens now, but I feel like they could have did this a long time ago just to close it. But I am happy it is finally closed.
Yeah.
I do like that because I think there's always a fear like, oh no, they're going to bring Eva back. And I feel like this is just a really good resolution to the storyline.
Exactly. And then we see Chim and Eli catch up, and it's very interesting. And like, Eli gives Chim very good advice about like Maddie and stuff. And I loved it. Like, I love seeing this again. It was great.
Yeah. Well, and it was too, because like, and I love the advice that Eli gave him, because like, because we see Chim's a mess, and he even said like, their daughter is having firsts in random hotel rooms like across the US because he's looking for Maddie. And Eli's like, well, then that's gonna because Maddie's currently in the feeling of she's not good enough and she's just destroying everything in her life, so she doesn't need to be around right now. So like, by Chimney being a mess, G being kind of like pushed around all these different places, it's basically playing into how Maddie feels and that she's causing all the problems. So she figures, she'll leave. And I really liked what Eli said, because if he finds Maddie and, Chim's a mess and G's struggling, that's not really going to make Maddie want to come back.
Yeah. It'll just further reaffirm that she only destroys
she's destroying her family. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I love that point. And it's true because, it's not like Chim should have left G.
Right.
But it's also not healthy to just be dragging an infant from hotel room to hotel room, state to state in this frantic manner. And like, I have no doubt that he's taking care of her. But if he's not even able to meet his own emotional needs at the time, I don't know how he's meeting all of G's.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which, of course, I have no doubt Chim's a good father. So, of course, he'll meet G's needs before he meets his own. But that's the thing. You can't pour from an empty glass.
Exactly.
So,
and this plays into the whole ghost kind of theme of, him chasing ghosts of Maddie, and like,
honestly, this should have been Ghosts of the Past or Chasing Ghosts. Like that's what the title should have been.
Because that's what it was.
Yeah, exactly. They should have. If
you're like, Ghost Stories doesn't make any sense. Like Chasing Ghosts or Ghosts from the Past should have been the title.
Yeah. Because then after that, we get Harry, who like basically took an Uber to.
It was a bus.
Oh, he took a bus, back to the place where Jeffrey had taken him and like sealed him in a wall and stuff.
Yeah.
But then he ends up falling through the floor and getting hurt, so he has to call Athena for help. And so he's chasing like his own things because he's struggling.
I honestly think they should have brought him back there like a while ago just for exposure, just because I feel like that would have been more beneficial to him.
Like with Maddie, taking her back to where it happened, they should have taken him back.
Exactly.
But also, Maddie went through therapy for a long time before that happened. So that may kind of be a process that they just hadn't reached yet.
That's true.
Well, and his emotional state, he is younger, so his emotions are like kind of not in check as well. And, his like growing, and like they probably didn't want to put too much undue stress on him all right away, because I know when kids go through that stuff, it can take a long time, sometimes longer than adults, because their brains are still developing. That's where I was trying to go with that. But in all that, Athena comes to rescue him, and guess who comes with him or with her? Harry, or with Lou. So Lou and Harry get to have a conversation about Jeffrey. Wow, there's so many names here. I'm scrambling.
Which I loved.
This
I
was
did
an
know we
amazing
needed it,
scene.
but
Yeah, it was
we
good.
needed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was really good because, like, if you think about it, like, Lou and Harry were able to talk about it, and, like,
Mhm.
Harry talked about, like, dreaming about him
Yeah.
and stuff, and, like, asked Lou if he does, and he's like, oh, yeah. Like, it was good because, like, Harry is able to connect with somebody about this who went through something similar than he did. That is not
Mhm.
Athena. That is not family.
Right.
An outside
The
source.
only other people that could have related to anything he went through was Lou, Athena, and to some degree the other victims, but one thing, not to that degree, and also you're not going to have him talk to them about it.
Yeah, that would be
Because
good.
it just isn't, it isn't close enough. But those were the victims. And so the only other person who knows what you went through are other victims. Athena's not the one to ask at this time. So Lou, perfect. I didn't know I needed it. And now, like, I can't stop.
Right. Well, it was really good closure for Harry too, I think, because it gave him some insights that he hadn't gotten from this counselor and his parents.
Yeah.
Agreed. And so then we end on, like, Taylor reading an article about a man on parole, which we find out in a couple episodes. I'll admit I was slightly just intrigued. I'll admit that.
Mhm.
Everyone knew who he was. And
It was-
I was just kind of
yeah.
like, I was the one person who was like, no, he's not them, just because I want them to do something different, which we'll get to. But
Yeah,
I
we'll
was
get
just
to
kind
it.
of like, I remember everyone was like, right after we
Yeah.
watched this, and this is why I brought it up. They're like, oh, Dad. I'm like, no, just to the respect works. I just want to say no.
Yeah, and I really like that Harry finally goes home. And
Yes, that too.
we get the closure with, he's ready to go home. He's kind of on the good side of, he's there. Athena's on his good side now, and he kind of takes a good step to come home. And it was really cool to see Bobby and Michael and May all there welcoming him home.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. It was good to see him go home and see, like, kind of like him start to move forward and kind of like take his life back.
I was glad for that storyline to finally be resolved.
Yeah.
At least in part.
Yeah.
Because I was ready for that section of their journey to be done.
Yeah, exactly. So, moving on to episode 8. This is a really good episode. Like, I think this is probably my second favorite of the season, which was Defend and Play. Such a good David Michael episode. So we love it.
Had to.
So David is going to Haiti to help with relief efforts, and Michael isn't pleased about this, let's just say.
Right.
Like, it was just like, he is just like, why would I want to go there? Like, blah. And like, David's just like, I love David's comeback because he's just like, if you want to be mad at someone, blame my boyfriend who introduced me to a world of folks who never hesitate to rush into an emergency. I think some of that rubbed off.
Yeah, that was a good line. Go, Michael.
It was a great line.
Go,
Go,
David.
David.
So then Michael goes to tell the kids and Athena and Bobby about David going to Haiti. Before David leaves, Michael's gonna propose, and like, it's about goddamn time.
Yeah. How long?
I was so ready for
together.
I want to say, like, they've been together, like, basically at the end of 3. They started dating at the end of 3, then 4 they were a couple. So I would say they've been
And
together.
living together because of the pandemic.
So
They've
they've
probably
been
been together about 2 years.
I was
Year and a
gonna
half,
say
at least.
I was gonna say 2 years. Is how long they've been together. So Michael tells like them that news, and like the kids kind of give their blessing, and Bobby's like, "Oh, I already felt like he was a part of the family." And Athena like asks if he wants her blessing, and Michael's just like, "It would be nice, but I'm gonna propose either way." And I'm like, "Mood."
I was like, good.
And like, Athena asks Michael how he's gonna propose, and Michael's just like, "Oh, right, I have to figure that out tonight."
Right. And then he's like, I'm gonna go look at rings, and Harry's like, David doesn't like diamonds.
Yes.
It's like, how do you know that?
It was funny because, like, yeah, that was so funny. It's like, how do you know that? Oh, we saw a commercial one time and stuff, and I'm just like, oh, yes. And I love how Athena went from being the ex-wife to the wing woman because she's giving her opinions on his outfit option. It was so funny. Like, yes, we love this relationship, and how it has evolved. So
Yes.
good. And
Like, you look at what happened in season 1. This would never have happened.
Uh-huh.
But all they needed was time, healing, and she liked Michael, so that was, or not Michael, but well, she liked him too, but David.
Right,
She liked
right.
David.
Yeah, exactly.
It like had the Athena seal of approval.
So Michael goes to the hospital to propose, and I love how he's giving himself like a little pep talk, like a little like affirmation. I feel like I was love it.
Well, that
yes.
he's like practicing.
Yeah, I love it. And like basically he's like outside the hospital and it basically explodes. There's a fire. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
some
would
chemicals got leaked with
Oh yeah.
like some like cleaning chemicals got leaked into a room that had like flammable oxygen tanks, and then like something happened, like one of them fell and it caused a spark, and then it just like exploded.
Remember
Which the moment you notice something gets spilled, you're like, oh dear.
Yeah.
Remember the
you
nurse?
know what's happening.
Remember the nurse that had her keys, like something was jammed in the door and she just kept pulling it, and we're all sitting there watching it together, and we're like, what the heck?
Door and check.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh,
like who would just keep shoving it like that? Would anyone do that?
No,
would
you open the door back up
just
and see what's sticking in the door frame that's keeping the door from shut.
Exactly. Like there's a different feel. There's a different feel from, oh, something's just sticking, to, oh, something's jammed.
I really hope she's a better nurse than she is with common sense.
right before like the explosion, we see Michael's getting ready to go into a surgery of a patient.
David. That's okay. I made the same mistake.
David, yes,
I made the same mistake.
Is going into brain surgery with a guy who, he's like, they're promising his wife he'll be okay, and they'll see him. She'll see him when they're out. And so when the explosion happens, they're on the other side of the hospital, so it's like they don't think they'll get too affected by it. So he continues the surgery while the explosion is going on, and the fire, when the fire department comes, there's all sorts of stuff going on. And Michael, kind of like, the explosion happened and it kind of blew him backwards, so he kind of got like a bonk on the head. And
yeah, honestly, I think David just kept going because he was like, "Oh, gotta get this done."
Right? I don't. Yeah,
you
can't
just
his brain. Let's
brain surgery.
No,
really.
You can't. I get that, but like, I've seen too many medical shows where people just perform surgery in like, the most, I guess, chaotic situations. Which I guess you do that, but like, this has happened in so many situations where I'm just like not even fazed by it.
Right.
But the moments I love are like, so they have to evacuate, and Buddy's evacuating the nursery.
Oh, the babies! We just saw Buck and Eddie.
Yeah, a bunch of babies were injured.
Can they bring one home?
Oh my god!
I know, we need a Buddy baby.
Yes.
Oh my god!
We'll work on getting them together, then we'll get a Buddy baby.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we all know like David's still operating through this. Meanwhile, there's a boy and his baby sister that just been born, and they're trapped. And this is like when like Claudette gets a call, and like so Buck and Eddie go to the room where they thought they were, and then they go to the room and they're like, it's gone. And like Claudette, like, that's that. And I feel
this is the first time I ever even semi-liked her.
Yeah, I felt so bad for Claudette though, actually, in this episode because of that. But
she this was the first time she acted human.
Yeah, exactly, and that's sad.
Right. Well, because she had asked the kid like what room he was in, and he saw the reflection, and so he thought he was in 318. So they went to the third floor to room 18, and there was no room 18. It was gone. Or so like the guys like didn't want to leave. They were looking, they couldn't find the kid, so they thought they'd lost the kid and the baby. So Eddie was really struggling, but then he looks, he's got this hat, his hat, and he sees the reflection in the mirror, and then he asks if there's an 81E room in the hospital, which is on another area.
At the call center, the boys had called back.
Yes,
and they were like, aren't you supposed to be dead? Kind of.
Right.
Like, wait, what?
Isn't that when Linda got the second call?
Yes.
Yeah, because Claudette had gone on break.
Yeah, well, yeah, understandably so. She was. Yeah, that was so like that was hard even for like Claudette and stuff. Just I made her feel like bad for her, which that's the point. But the kids were okay then because they were able to go to 81E and like get them and stuff.
Yeah.
Which, thank God.
Because I was like, because I'd heard something that made me think the boy didn't make it out, but I hadn't heard
Yeah.
anything about the sister.
Mm.
And I was like, wait, what? And I
Right.
was like, that doesn't track with 911. Just like losing both kids, like that is not what they do. And I was like,
Yeah, well, that's real depressing if that happens. So I think that's
Right.
why we don't see it happen. Because, like, obviously stuff
Yeah.
like that happens, but do they really want to like showcase that? No, absolutely
Mm.
not.
like I've seen shows where kids don't make it out, and
Mhm.
I'm sure we've had that happen on 911. I can't actually bring up a memory, but I'm sure it has.
Yeah, yeah.
However, that's not something where they'd also get two kids in one blow. That
Mhm.
isn't their style. And I was like, okay, now I'm a little confused.
Right. Yeah.
And so to see like the whole mix up with the reflection, I'm like, of course.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the kid had gone with the nurse, and because he wanted to take his baby sister and go with him when they returned the baby to
Well, they were
the
running
nursery.
tests.
Yeah, and he didn't want to leave the baby alone, so he went with them, leaving the parents in another like the room. So he was following the nurse with the baby, and yeah.
And the nurse didn't make it out.
No,
But
she did not.
but amazingly, especially for a newborn,
Mhm. Smoke inhalation alone could kill him.
the fall with
Yeah.
nothing supporting the head.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm baffled at the fact that she survived, which I'm glad, but it's like
Right.
because the baby had fallen away from the nurse. And so I was like, okay, we're just gonna roll with it. But also I feel like that's very improbable that it would have happened like that. But you know what? We'll take improbable in this case.
Yeah.
Right. So then slowly, like they've evacuated the hospital to a point, and then all of a sudden, like they realize the fire is getting to a point where they can't control it, and it's getting closer and closer to where David is operating, and they keep telling him to get out. And he's refusing to leave his patient, so he's trying to get the nurses and staff to leave, but none of them are willing to leave with him without him and the patient. Then Bobby goes to tell him,
we'll do this together.
Yeah, and I love how like Bobby goes in and tries to tell him, like, look, this is what's going on, and David's like, well, just leave me here then, because I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
So then I love like Bobby like kind of ruining the surprise, but like
I didn't expect
he's like, I
that.
have to give you a reason to like get out of here,
Yeah. I did expect it to go down like that.
Yeah.
But I actually am glad that it did at the end.
I don't know. Like, I feel like iffy about it because I don't really love that he ruined the whole thing, but like, I get why it had to happen because, like, would he actually have maybe made it out if this didn't happen? Maybe, but I don't know. I feel kind of iffy about it. I'm not like, oh, like, I'm
like,
okay
yes,
with it.
I'm disappointed that the surprise was ruined. But at the same time, the proposal was still so adorable that I'm just like riding off of him telling, you know what, I'm okay with it. Because like just the way he was like, he's not my husband. Well, he wants to be.
Right. And he's outside with a watch ready to propose.
Yeah, a ring or watch. I don't actually know what they did. I think that's how he was.
It
It was a watch, but I don't remember exactly. Like, I think Bobby might have worded it weird.
No, that's what I'm saying. It was a watch, but which I kind of like that idea, and I've seen it done before. But it was a watch, but I think he was like a ring or a watch or whatever he decided on, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I love like David finally coming out and and like the proposal, and like he like immediately says yes and like stuff. I even love the part before that, like Bobby basically like they had to defend in place until like the surgery was over. Like they gave him like 7 minutes or something like that. And I loved that.
Like, everybody coming to like help. That was awesome.
I loved it because I was like, okay, so far the name hasn't really been met. And I was like, okay, I wasn't expecting such a climax to be the name, but like, oh my gosh, if Cell Block 911 had not been so good, partially just because it was so Eddie heavy and like so brilliantly Eddie heavy, this would be number one. And it's a very close second. It's a very close second ranking because it's so freaking good. Yeah, and definitely. And then we also got like some good like Hannah and Robbie talks because we get Robbie revealing that he spent lots of time in hospital because he had childhood cancer. And I'm like, okay, guys, can we just acknowledge
Robbie Begins, please?
Robbie Begins.
Not
I'll
that,
take it.
but yes, that. Okay, like Can we acknowledge, like, I feel like not everyone has, like, this thing with cancer. Like, why does, like, half of these people have cancer? Like, what the heck?
Unfortunately, cancer is very common.
I know, but,
Yeah.
like, come on. Like, they could have picked something else.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it tied in was the thing, because we found out because there was a guy who'd beaten stage 4 cancer, but had gone back for the nurse that had like kept him company through it all, like had been such a light to him, and found her, but he sacrificed himself to make sure that the firefighters and she got out of there.
Right.
And so it's like, beat stage 4 cancer to die in a fire. And that's like that hits hard, but we see it hitting Ravi pretty hard. And so obviously it could have been anything else, but like just there's already a lot of implication just with the fact that, it's very hard to beat stage 4 of anything.
Right. And and then we see like Ravi's explaining like, he didn't play sports when he was a kid. He missed out on a lot of stuff. So his the nurses at the hospitals often was, like his friends and stuff. So it was definitely a heartbreaking. I would definitely like to see a Ravi Begins now.
Oh no, they have to do it. Yeah.
I thought I was done with seeing Begins. Nope.
Ravi
Begins and Eddie Begins Part 2.
There we go. Yeah.
We're really pushing for that, and yes, we are. Like,
if we actually get it, I will be shocked, but I'm pushing for it.
If we get it, I would like all credit to go to our podcast.
Yes.
Sorry, but we've been pushing for it. So yeah.
Yes.
I would like it to be dedicated to our podcast.
Exactly, that would love it.
Dedication, please give it here. Okay, so then we end on Michael revealing that he is going to go with David to to Haiti, and he's going to rebuild homes there
because they just had a devastating earthquake that destroyed a lot of stuff. So he's going to go with him.
Yeah,
which definitely leaves a lot of shock to everybody, that he's leaving. Some are like, oh, that's great, that's a great thing to do. And David didn't know how long he was going to be gone, and that was part of the reason why Michael wanted to propose, because he didn't want him to just leave not knowing how he truly felt about him. So what better way for him to do is than to go with him. I actually, until the day of the episode, I had no idea that he was leaving the show. So
I didn't either. Farewell, Michael. Like,
Michael leaving. I know why.
Yeah, we all know why.
We do, yeah.
I mean, we don't have to talk about it, but we all know why. And like, I love Michael, still love Michael, will always love Michael, and I love
I hope
Michael
he comes
and
back.
David. Yeah,
I imagine he'll come back.
I hope he can come
when
back someday.
Show and world conditions allow for him to come back, then I hope he will.
Yep,
I'm sure he will.
They're not going to stay in Haiti forever.
No.
Which they will.
Okay, this is the only thing I have to say. If he's gonna be like, I do understand that it will be a long time until we can possibly see him again, but can we at least, if it's gonna be that long, at least be like, okay, they got married? Can we have that? Because like that would just bring so much joy. Like I
really want a wedding, but if not, can we like just have them get married?
Yeah, can we just know that they got married? Like I don't need to see it. Like I just want to know that they're like married and happy, and like that's just that. Okay.
It would be nice for them to do something like they did with Buck sending Maddie postcards during Buck Begins, where like Michael and David are sending postcards like every once in a while back home and like letting him know what they're doing. Yeah. So if he's not coming back for a while.
Oh yeah.
That would be cool. A cool way to do it.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay, so last 2 episodes. So episode 9, May is gonna be scarred for life because she she comes home to
it is
get her mail.
This episode.
And she comes home to get her mail, and Bobby and Athena are having a mobile yes. Like I'm just
Bobby wearing nothing but an apron.
Yeah, because that's all he could find.
in lingerie and his turnout coat.
that was funny. It's just funny because the next day the team kind of finding out of it, courtesy of Hen. But first,
because Athena told her, of course.
Yeah, of course, and
which I can just picture Hen just dying of laughter.
Oh gosh, yes.
But first, Buck is having a freak out because he thinks his relationship with Taylor is over. Oh boy, we wish it was.
Yeah, we wish, right?
And so he's talking about like women fleeing him, and Robbie's just like, women flee you.
He's like, oh no.
And I love what Buck says. Like this whole conversation with everyone is great. So Buck's just like starts out small. She's canceling plans. She's gotta work. She needs to wash her hair or do her laundry. And before you know it, poof, dropping them off at the airport and never seeing them again. Okay, Buck, that happened once.
I know, right?
Happened once. Obviously, Abby heavily scarred him, but it's like it happened once, honey.
Yeah, and Hen's just like, okay, Buck, you're being a little too Buck about this.
Too Buck about this. Yes.
Okay,
I love that Buck has become an adjective.
Don't you feel like Buck is just a like livable meme? Because I feel that way.
Yes.
And I love Eddie just sounds a little.
A little.
When was the last time a woman told you that she had to go home and wash her hair? 1952. That's a thing still.
That's okay. They're definitely like, yeah, there's women that are like that, but like, no, like I could.
No, that isn't. That does sound very old fashioned.
It does sound old fashioned, but I actually like. I know people that are like this. They're like, okay, it's hair wash day. Okay, let's go.
And then I love Hen's response of, listen, Taylor is not an Abby or Allie. It doesn't even rhyme. I mean, that's a good sign, right?
Except for she really speaks too soon. And this may be a jinx, I'm just gonna say it.
Crossing everything and knocking on wood.
Yeah, exactly. And Bobby's just like, why does this keep happening to you? And Buck's just like, well, to be honest. And Bobby's like, no, I'm gonna tell you why. Because
and I'm like, woo.
Yes, tell us. Because you don't talk to the women you're dating. You just go with the flow and find yourself in a relationship with no idea how you got there or what to do when things start to go wrong. And Eddie's just like, yeah, who does that?
And I'm just like, Eddie, shush.
And then, of course, they all find out about Bobby and Athena reconnecting.
And then, Hen's like, I didn't know we could take our turnout coats home for that.
And Buck being all like, oh, I don't want to hear that. It's like, I don't want to know what mom and dad do.
Yes,
but I'm also like, honey, you stole the fire truck.
I know, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, Buck,
and your dad walked in on you. So
I think, that was those are two different scenarios, but it's
still really, like, apparatus has been used before.
Oh my god, just imagine like them being like them finding like, especially Robbie finding out that Buck had sex in the fire jar.
Oh yeah.
I feel like everyone but Robbie knows.
Exactly. That's my point. Like, oh my god.
Even though Eddie didn't know till third season, I think.
I hope this comes to light. I really do.
Yeah.
I want to see it be brought up and Robbie just being like, and discreetly shifts away from a particular spot.
Yeah.
Or being like, where? I don't know.
And wasn't there some teasing too, because something about Bobby, she said something about playing, like role playing the firefighter, and then like Bobby's like, well, who said I was the firefighter?
Yeah, Robbie
like, oh,
Robbie's like,
all like grossed out.
Yeah,
like, what is even happening here?
Literally, like Robbie is the one that said, oh, sexy firefighter cap, and he's like, I never said I was the firefighter.
Right. And then, like, kind of through this, then Buck goes back to, I guess, talk to Taylor and finds out that the article she was reading a couple of episodes back was actually about her father. She was invited to go to his parole hearing.
Yeah, I think,
And then she explains a little bit about, she found her mom, her dad killed her mom, but it was made to look like a suicide, but they later proved that it wasn't a suicide. And so she has to go to testify for her dad, either whether or not he should be released early or not.
Yeah. Which he still protests his innocence, of course.
Right.
That's just, yeah, like, that's not really helping yourself because, like, I feel like this is one of the situations where like, he did it and, like, stuff, but it's just like when this came to light, it was like, okay, no shit. Like, that was pretty obvious because first thing for me that made it obvious is like how emotional she got reading it. It wasn't like any
Yeah.
other story. Like, you knew
Yeah.
there was some type of personal connection, whether if it was a father or a family member, you knew it. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
As I said, all I wanted was for them to not make it so obvious.
Yeah, I agree. Like they could have, but I think the way that they brought it up, it had to be personal. I don't think it could have been anything else.
Yeah.
And like she had to go to like somewhere in the Midwest because it wasn't in California, and Buck offers to go with her so she doesn't have to go by herself, and she tells him no.
Does he
He
show
goes
up
anyway.
anyways? Yeah,
But he shows up anyways.
I don't know. I have
That's-
different feelings about this.
That's very Buck.
It's very Buck. Like
it is very Buck.
it was kind of sweet, but and like I think she needed that, but it was also like really Buck, really.
Yeah.
Like I
Like
feel
I'm like
partial.
overall I'm like, okay, I like it. Though typically your girlfriend tells you not to do something, don't do it.
Right.
It's like it's sweet, but at the same time it's just like dubious decision making.
Of course. Of course.
But yeah.
What I do love to see is Hen's mom. And we see her reconnecting with an old love because Hen had seen him on a call and he thinks that she's her mother and stuff. And so like Hen gets them to reconnect. And I'm like, I love Hen's mom. I really do. She's a gem.
She's great. I love her.
Yeah, literally, I love her. Yes, and the ew part of this episode, and just like sort of funny, but like Taylor says, "I love you" to Buck, and Buck says it back, which this is so forced. You know, he does not actually love her. Like, come on, you know, like Buck's the kind of person.
Like this is not even us as Taylor haters and
it just didn't fit.
Buddy lovers doing that. It's the way that he was like, "Love you too," in a questioning voice. Okay, that is not the way you say "first I love you," which we can guess that this is probably one of the first.
No,
not the first.
It was the first,
at least one that we've seen. But it's like she says, "I love you," and when "first I love you" happens, you do not go "love you too" in that voice. That is not how you do things.
It was also like
it seemed very forced. It seemed like
it was
didn't
forced.
fit, and it was like
did not.
Forced in there just to be put in there, which I don't think is good for the characters.
I feel like Buck's the kind of person in this situation with Taylor where he felt he had to say it. I don't think
in that situation, what do? You it's like you go risking making everything bad or awkward if you don't respond. It's like it's a weird situation.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, in this situation, I think a lot of people would have said it, even if they didn't mean it.
Yeah.
Because you feel pressured.
Yeah. It's a hard situation to be in. And like, there's only one thing I get out of the scene, and that's Buck is gay. Or he's not straight. Okay?
He is not in Taylor. He's
exactly.
not he hasn't realized it yet. But
that too.
The relationship isn't working.
It's kind of obvious in the next episode when he says he wants to get her a portable generator for Christmas.
Yeah.
He's so okay, that was the game. It's like okay, Eddie would be the sort to appreciate that.
Yeah.
A girl would not.
There's one last thing before we just jump forward, but the whole thing Hen said earlier, that was totally
about
off.
Taylor not being an Allie or an Abby.
Yeah. So we find out her last name is actually Martin, which was Allie's last name, which it made that whole Hen conversation go out the window because we are like, okay, well they ruined that. But I'm honestly kind of like I'm okay with that just because I didn't like the people like abbreviate her name to be TK, and she is not a TK, okay?
Oh,
do not insult.
That's
no.
I will never refer to her as that. No, thank you. Bye.
Nope.
Not gonna happen.
I'm gonna be mean and say I'd prefer we never have to refer to it all.
That's true. Like I kind of most of the time I like to pretend she doesn't exist. Although these last couple episodes she hasn't been as bad, but I don't love
At this point,
Tyler.
it's kind of systematic. We just don't like
Yeah, they are pretty much and stuff. Like I'm not trying to be so like I'm trying not to be as harsh on her. Like I'm trying, but like we just you're not gonna like everyone. You're not gonna like every character on a show. There's
Right.
stuff. There's characters on shows that I absolutely don't like, and you don't have to like them. And I just
Yeah.
the one thing that makes me not like her is the fans, just because of the fact that
Fans.
fans are like, "Oh, she's pretty. Oh, you can't hate a woman. I can hate anybody I want to." Okay,
Thank you very much. And we are women, so we especially
don't-
get that right.
I don't like being told what I should or shouldn't like. So yeah, okay, moving on.
Moving on. But, yeah.
We start out the finale, the Christmas episode, which we love. With
It was so
Christopher being the king of Christmas, and he wants
Yes.
everything to be perfect, and it's just so adorable in this moment specifically, just because he's like, the tree is facing the wrong way. You're putting the ornaments on. That's not a good popcorn to cranberry ratio.
and to Eddie's just the way he's like this skinny side, and Eddie just looks at the tree like, what skinny side? He's so lost and he's trying so hard.
Right.
Eddie, boy, man.
And he's trying so hard to accommodate Christopher, but has no idea where any of this is coming from. And it's like he's so adorably lost.
Oh, we love that man.
Uh-huh.
And then like the
AKA the Eddie podcast. The Eddie and Carlos podcast.
yes. Oh, we love Carla, like love that Carla's back. And then like the next morning, we see her and Eddie is explaining like what happened with the Christmas stuff. And like I love him being like to Carla, did you know there's a correct like popcorn to cranberry ratio? It's 5 if you were wondering.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes, guys,
it's 5 if you were wondering.
It's 5 if you're yeah. I love that man. We all do, let's be honest. But like then in the scene, Christopher has a nightmare and they like run to him. And it's so sad. Like he's having a nightmare about his mom, Shannon. And I'm just like, my heart's breaking. Like, I don't want to see Christopher sad.
No, nobody does.
I don't want to see any of the Diaz men sad.
Yeah, like
Agreed.
it was very sad. It's an interesting reference we brought up again because Shannon hasn't really been referred to much, not by Christopher.
More so Eddie.
Yeah, like she's just kind of faded into the background, kind of brought out when Anna was around, but that's about it.
Yeah, so I feel like this was the kind of thing where it had to come up at some point, and I think it should have come up sooner than later, but I just think that like Shannon came back at Christmas, which I think Buck and Eddie had a conversation about that later in the episode. So like it kind of makes sense why this is the episode that it came back in, and it had to happen at some point. I kind of wish it came up sooner a little bit, but you know,
yeah, it would have been nice to have
here
had
now.
it just before, but honestly, it's not a big deal. It's just kind of like one of those little things that's like, oh, that would have been nice to, you know.
Anyways, we kind of like briefly mentioned this scene, but we'll get into it. So Buck doesn't know what to get Taylor for Christmas, and I love him being like, it's baby's first Christmas in a serious relationship.
Oh my gosh, hence my soul.
I love Chen.
She's our spirit animal.
Honestly, like, yes. And then Buck's just like to Bobby, what'd you get a Theo for your first Christmas? And Bobby's like, an engagement ring. And Buck's like, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, glad he did.
Thank God.
Glad.
Thank God.
Glad Buck said, no, I'm not doing that. If you do that, it will be for Eddie.
Yes. And then he's like, I was thinking a portable generator. Hen's like, someone's gonna be single by New Year's. I'm like,
do it.
He should have gotten it. Do it. Get it.
Do it. I think
we're just devil's advocate for their breakup.
I think that might have been better than what he actually got her, which we'll get to at the end. But I'm just saying, I don't know what was worse. So yeah, basically Buck is in the relationship because Buck is gay at a story. Like we literally talked about that when we watched it together too.
Yeah. I'm just like, honey, in all this time, even not being in a serious relationship with a woman, you can't have figured out that a portable generator is not an appropriate gift.
Oh my god! Like
He won't live this down.
Eddie
Not
would have
with
loved
Amanda.
that generator, I tell you.
I would have taken the generator, to
Me too.
I would have
like,
taken
that's
it.
a useful gift, and I like,
Yeah.
yes, indulge me, but also give me useful gifts.
Yeah, honestly,
I
yeah.
will think you're amazing no matter what.
We
But
know.
like, yeah, I'm just that sort of person. But
Yeah, we know that he knows exactly what to get Eddie for Christmas.
imagine that he'd already ordered the portable generator.
Right.
Put it to Eddie's house.
Like,
And he's like,
well,
just thought you could use this.
Oh my god, yes. Okay, so then we
Perfect. Anyway.
then dad vibes again because Buck is asking Eddie about what the doctor said when he took Christopher to the doctor because of the nightmare. And I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, like there is just like this is everything. We love
He's
it.
so much a stepdad.
oh, totally. Totally.
Yeah. Literally.
And okay, we need more Chris and Buck content.
Yeah, we do.
And
We
Yeah.
do.
I heard we're
Buck
getting it
and
in
the
5B.
Diaz men content. Like, we need all of the content.
Yeah, I heard we're getting it in 5B. Apparently, Oliver said in an interview. I haven't read the interview yet. It's just not something I've done yet, but I did hear that.
Nice. Well, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah,
I want it.
want it, gotta have it. And then in the episode, the more Christopher stuff starts happening, and Eddie accidentally like ruins Chris's gingerbread house, and he totally freaks out and he knocks it over. Okay, this like gave me a little flashback when he broke the salad bowl.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I
Total
think that was
flashback.
actually almost supposed to be reminiscent of that.
Yeah, totally. I was totally gonna make an edit of like the two. Not gonna lie.
And Eddie just being like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And then like Chris like freaks out and he like ends up saying to like because Eddie's like, oh, we can make a bigger one next year, and Eddie's just like, Chris is like, you're gonna be dead next year, and I'm like, when I was watching this live, I was like, oh.
Whoa, yeah.
Oh, that's different. And Eddie's just sitting there like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, he does
Yeah.
it. And like,
But I expected it to come up at some point
Oh,
because
yeah.
we've seen Eddie kind of deal with the getting shot, but we haven't seen Chris's response to it. So I'm
Yeah.
like, this was bound to happen.
yeah, it was gonna come up at some point. So like, I'm kind of glad it came up now and stuff. And like, Eddie talks to Carl about it. Like either like I would assume it'd be the next day because this was at night, and he kind of tells her everything he's been through danger wise recently. Like he was telling her about like how they basically were like kidnapped or whatever that was with
The
like,
hostage situation.
Hostage.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? And he's like, well, everything was fine. It didn't seem important at the time to bring up.
to tell like her or Chris and stuff. And like
So Eddie's throughout the episode has been kind of thinking about all the different ways he's been in danger and how it's now affecting Chris in a way that he never expected. But Chris is getting older too, and he's understanding more than he was when he was younger.
Yeah.
When you get older, you understand, the concept of death more and the dangers. And so, yeah, he's already lost his mom too, which granted, mom was not a firefighter, but also he would have known that those kind of accidents are what Eddie responds to. And he's also seen, Eddie get hurt. And so it is sort of the thing where it's like, it was maybe a little abrupt, but I'm glad it happened just because we need to start airing about.
Yeah, definitely. We finally found out what Buck had gotten Taylor, and like she opens and she's like, it's a bracelet. And he's like, it's an emergency beacon. Okay. Like, and I'm just like, okay, he got her a fancy life alert, which I didn't come up with that. Somebody else did. But when they said that, I started cracking up. I'm like, yes.
Fancy. I love that.
Fallen too far in my writing hole and I can't get up.
That's good. That's whoever came up with that. Props to them. That was good.
That was a good one, yeah.
And I'm just like, that was really perfect.
And she's just kind of like, so you're tracking me.
Yeah.
I was like,
okay. And the person that came up with this also brought up the fact that they're going to use this as like a plot device, and she's going to have to use it at some point in the next half of the season. Like, like this is how 911 works.
Oh,
So
yeah.
something's going to go down.
Yeah, and like, and you threw in the episode too, like, so this is at a party, so like everybody kept dropping like flies from Athena and Bobby's Christmas party that they were gonna have. And so during a call, when a family loses their apartment because of the dad backing up into like the thing, Bobby and Athena decide to throw like a kind of a block party for all the residents of the apartments that are displaced right now.
Yeah.
So they're all
like,
kind of at this thing, which is cool to see everybody together.
Yeah. They did this before, and I believe it was season 3.
Yeah, when they had their big Christmas together, but they also brought like, you know, the kids from the foster family.
Yeah, because that kid had rescued his mom was in the hospital because she'd had that heart attack, so he was in like a group home for Christmas.
Yeah.
So this was a good way to have Christmas together so they could all have it.
Yes, definitely. And so like in this moment, like Hannah and Buck are looking for Eddie, and they see that he's having this serious conversation with Bobby. Which I wish they clued us in on. I wish we got to see this, but we didn't. Right. It's fine. And
we see them shake hands and hug, and yeah, it was so hard.
That's when you know what's happening.
Yeah, it's like something's not good is going to come out of that.
Which we sort of, I feel like you could sort of see this coming from a mile away.
Yeah, especially with the episode.
Because they would not have brought this up if this was not going to be the result.
Yeah, and Buck's just like, wonder what that's about. And Hen's just like, I don't know, but I don't like it. And so then we see Eddie in this next half of this, and he's like gathering like Hen, Buck, and Ravi, and it's just like, okay, there's tension here, like what's going on? And
I'm surprised none of them guessed, honestly, just because, you know, that obviously he was making a big announcement.
Right.
Yeah, and
it wasn't good.
Yeah, it was not good. Like, Eddie tells the team, and he's like, I'm leaving the 118, because, like, he tells them that Chris is struggling with his job and, like, and stuff. And we're just all like, when I saw this, I was like, I wasn't worried about it at all, but I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
I'm not gonna, obviously, Guzman is contracted for more seasons.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's not leaving the show.
He is not leaving the show.
But when people use that as like an argument of why he's not leaving, I'm like, okay, that really doesn't mean much, just because you can literally still leave during your contract. It's not easy, but like that's not really like, that doesn't really give us much proof. Like, I know Ryan's not actually leaving and stuff, because why would they have him leave now? That makes sense.
And that whole thing about fourth stage Eddie on his Instagram.
That put the whole fandom into like a what? Which I kind of want to get into, because we've come up with like something.
We've come up with some theories.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, I'm trying to pull up the post. Here we go. So it's like stage 4, Eddie Diaz coming soon. So it's like some sort of army emoji. Then he got a silver star. Then he joined the LAFB. Then there's a bird emoji, which sent the whole fandom into like a...
What's it mean?
What does it mean? Like literally.
I think he's gonna be a helicopter medic.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Like one of my friends had said like maybe he's gonna be like dispatch, like eyes in the sky. I could see something like that happening, but I honestly I'm thinking more of like a helicopter medic. I'm leaning more towards that these days. And the bad part is we won't find out like what this is until like the end of March, which is okay, because now we're gonna be getting some Lone Star content, but still,
which we've needed.
I'm not worried at all. Like, I'm really not worried. Eddie's not gonna go anywhere.
I'm not. So I have a little funny story. So yesterday I have a friend visiting. She's actually in the room while I'm recording. And I said, hey, like, because I knew we were going to be talking about this episode, and I was like, what was the last 911 episode you watched? And she's like, I'm not sure. So she was telling me like a little bit. I'm like, okay, well, that was 509. And then like we got off to like some other topic. And then she's like, wait a second. I remember what the last episode was. She's like, what's its nuts leaving? And I was like, what? She's like, the guy. And I was like, so she had seen this episode, but she just hadn't remembered the ending. And she's like, what's his nut? And I was like, what? I don't know where she got that phrase. She's like, I'm terrible with names. You know that. It was funny. I was like, yeah, I thought you guys would get a kick out of that.
That is funny.
That is really funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not the greatest first half of the season, but not terrible.
Honestly, looking back on it, I know I had said that I'm not very impressed, but there were definitely some really good episodes. There were also some not so great episodes, but I honestly, looking back on it, I do think it was an okay, like, good first half of 5A. Is it like, I'm not gonna put a label on it, but like, am I as impressive with other seasons so far with the content we got? No. But like, I'm anticipating a good close, hopefully. I'm not gonna
Honestly,
judge
it's so far away from the standard of other seasons at this time. Some of it's writing, to be honest, some of it is Taylor. For me, like that is part of it. And I don't know what's going on with writing this season, but somebody's on drugs.
I did hear, this might have to do with it, might not. Tim Minear has focused more on Lone Star than 911, so he's not really working on 911, so that could have something to do with it.
Okay, Tim, if Lone Star isn't amazing, we're having words. So we know it's going to be amazing.
Even the little 30-second preview that we've gotten is, plenty amazing.
The 2 full promos and 1 teaser we gotten have been amazing. I'm not worried at all, but like, if it is not phenomenal, we will all be marching to the 5 slot.
They might want to take a long extended vacation.
Yes. Guys, this is the last episode of the year for us and stuff. It's crazy.
I can't believe that we're almost to the end of 2021, but I can't believe we've done 45 episodes.
Yeah.
And we've been at this for over a year.
And it's so exciting.
Yeah. Well,
guys, I'm so glad we did this journey, honestly.
Me too.
Like, I don't there's so much reminiscing I feel like doing right now, but I won't, except just to be like, can't believe we've come this far. We've done so great.
Yeah.
We have so much more to come.
Yeah, like I was kind of like thinking about this being our last episode. I was thinking about like just everything we've done this year podcast wise. Like, I feel like we come a long way and we just have like our own, like, you can tell the difference between the beginning and now. And we have our own style.
Our stride.
Yeah, exactly. And we've gotten to do some cool things, I guess, together. Like, we got to talk to Ronan several times this year. I wish we could another time, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I really wanted to happen, but you know, it'll happen when it happens. And I'm just excited for like next year with like us and season 3 and seeing what 2022 brings.
Yes.
And I'm appreciative for like everyone that's like stayed along with our journey this year and don't stop now.
Yes,
there's so much more coming.
Getting better.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm grateful to be on this journey with you guys. I consider you guys sisters, best friends. So I'm excited that we get to continue on doing this and that we have some amazing shows. And I am grateful that we've been able to like connect with Ronan at times. You know, it doesn't seem like they're doing as many Dreamits now. So I don't know if we'll ever get to do that again, but the times that we had were awesome. And, you know, I know we have a lot of great ideas and things planned for the future. So I know we've got a lot of content coming and obviously we have more seasons to come. So
we'll want to do
sticking around
with anyone else.
Yes. Exactly, love you guys.
We love you guys. We love you listeners. Thank you for listening to us and all of that. Because, you know, you guys are what's keeping us motivated to keep going too. So.
And if there's anyone here who has been here since like the very beginning, y'all rock. You stuck with us through some very interesting, you know, times and seasons, and you've seen us grow. So couldn't be here without you.
Yeah.
Yes. Love that. That was a great way to end it.
Yeah, I think so. Happy 2022, everybody. Let's, you know, see you next year. Chat to you next year.
Thank you guys so much for joining us and listening. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Anchor. We're also on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, and almost anywhere where podcasts can be found. On iTunes, please rate us and leave us a review. It would mean a lot to us. I also heard you can review now on Spotify, so do that as well. But you guys can keep up with us and follow us on our podcast socials, which are at 91LS Roundup on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We also have a Discord server. The link is in the description of this podcast and also in our Instagram bio. And you guys can follow me, Katie, at Full of Tarlos on Instagram and at For Love Tarlos on Twitter.
You guys can follow me, Grace, at RonanRappa911 on Instagram and at CheapGirl31 on Twitter.
You can follow me, EJ, at EJ8302 on Instagram and Twitter. Bye! And
Bye.
Happy New Year!